All right, so Connor says that whatever he's doing with his shoulder, you can change a hook to a jab. You need that type of flexibility, dexterity. As a world champion 4 times over, when you see him do that and hear him say that, what do you think?
I don't think that that's what he's trying to accomplish. I think that he's trying to loosen up his shoulders, and that's just a workout for him, some kind of workout that he's doing. I don't think it has anything to do with how you throw a left hook or, how fluid you're going to be with your left hook or your jab or anything. Just your shoulders. Just loosen up the shoulders, I think.
When you see the film of him fighting, what's your kind of analytical, what's your takeaway of him as a boxer?
When I see him boxing, I see that he does a lot of slapping punches. I see that they're not straight. He doesn't use his body like a boxer would. He uses his body like a UFC guy would. If they're going to tear a guy down or if they're going to kick or grapple, whatever they're going to do. But it's different from boxing.
Okay, so it's different from boxing, but it becomes unorthodox. Does that make it difficult? Because I think the sale they're trying to make is, hey, Floyd's not as fast as he used to be. Hey, this guy, we're using smaller gloves than Floyd usually uses. This guy's a knockdown artist. It's unorthodox. It could happen. Mm-hmm. Does unorthodox work against Floyd Mayweather? You fought against Floyd.
In this case, I don't think it will. I think that he's going to be totally outclassed. I think that they're thinking that they can rough Floyd up and they're going to be able to get their way with him physically. That's not going to work because Floyd's been there with guys that are much more physical than he is and tried to rough him up. Through history of time of Floyd fighting, everybody he's fought has tried to rough him up, knock him down, and do all these different things. And it hasn't worked. So you're going to try the same thing that everybody else has been trying. It's just not going to work. The most awkward person that Floyd fought, I believe, was Maidana. And he was so awkward, he threw punches from everywhere. And Floyd was able to handle that. And a very hard puncher as well. So I think that it's going to be very, very, very hard for McConnor to do anything with Floyd that he hasn't seen.
Floyd still told Stephen A. Smith that he feels like he's going to have to walk him down. Do you think this is just huff and bluster? Because that hasn't been what Floyd has done recently. Recently, he's gotten ahead and then stayed away and just been defensive and stayed out of trouble. What are your thoughts on the idea of Floyd walking down McGregor?
I actually think it's a good idea that he goes to McGregor and walks him down and push him backwards. Make him fight more toe-to-toe because McGregor is not used to fighting going backwards or boxing going backwards. He's used to going forward all the time and lunging and jumping at people. It's probably a good idea for Floyd to walk him back and make him fight the inside game that McGregor doesn't know how to fight.
They changed the gloves from 10 to 8 ounces. Of course, those are still bigger than what they use in UFC. You mentioned the slapping punches, but there's not the normal. He's not snapping his punches like a boxer would, right? So, I mean, when you're a world champion, you see that. You got to think dude, this guy, it can't happen, could it?
Yeah, well, the gloves really don't make a difference because
they do or don't.
They don't.
Okay.
They don't make a difference because Floyd fought in 8-ounce gloves and he fought in 10-ounce gloves. Gloves are only meant to protect the hand so the fighter can punch more and punch harder. They're not meant to protect the other fighter. The reason why they even came up with gloves is so the fighter can punch as long as they can. Back in the olden days, they used to have bare knuckles and they used to use hand wraps. And their hands kept hurting, so they put gloves on so it can continue to fight, knock the guy out, make him bleed, whatever it is they need to do.
Give me the scenario by which Floyd loses this fight.
By the way he loses?
Yes.
I can't even come up with a scenario. The best fight that I think is Floyd Mayweather Sr. and McGregor.
Wait. Floyd Mayweather Sr. is like 61 years old.
He's 64 years old.
64 years old.
Now that's a fight. That's a good fight where I don't know who's going to win. And I slightly pick Floyd Mayweather Sr. I slightly pick him, but I don't know who's going to win that fight.
Wait, so you hit Floyd probably the hardest that he's ever been hit. The
Right.
closest you could
Right.
tell that he was shook up from that.
Right.
Knowing that didn't even work.
Right.
Is there any chance that Conor can hit him harder and have more of an effect?
The way Conor's technique is right now, that I'm watching on the bag, and the way he throws at the bag and hits, he doesn't have enough power boxing-wise to even hurt Floyd. Floyd's been hit by many people that hit hard. I mean, I caught him good in the chin. I hit very hard. Before I lost the fight, I was 38-0 with 35 knockouts. I mean, only 3 people with the distance.
Right.
So he fought Cotto. He fought Manny Pacquiao. He fought Oscar De La Hoya. I mean, the list goes on. Diego Corrales. It goes on. He fought so many people that hit so hard and so big. He fought Canelo Alvarez. And that's getting ready to fight Triple G coming up, and it's going to be an amazing fight.
Yeah.
You cannot compare somebody of this magnitude that's been fighting for so long, since he probably was 6 years old, been in the fighting family, Roger Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather, Jeff Mayweather, all the Mayweathers, his whole family has been world champions.
Does it bother you at all that this fight has overshadowed the Triple G fight?
It doesn't bother me. I think that, it's bringing the UFC fans closer to boxing so they can understand. I mean, it's 2 different sports. I mean, it's kind of like, I look at my analogy is like the long distance runner run against the sprinter. The long distance runner is going to beat the sprinter in the long distance run, but the sprinter is going to definitely beat the long distance runner in the sprint. It's 2 different fields, 2 different sports. I just can't see McGregor even having a chance.
So Sugar, I guess my fear, and this is what I started this with, is like I took a while to come over to mixed martial arts, just because the first time I turned on it was late at night. There's blood everywhere. I was like, whoa. I wasn't even ready for it. And then the more I've understood the different techniques and the different type of athletes that come to it, I've come to really, really enjoy watching it.
Right.
That said, if they got over 4 million buys in this thing, you're going to have a couple million people who have never seen a mixed martial artist fight before in an octagon, let alone a ring. Do you run the risk of hurting his sports credibility, even though you and I and people who cover sports and understand sports, we know it's a different sport. That's easy to say, but if he gets embarrassed, if he looks so awkward there, you're like, does he run the risk of delegitimizing his sport?
I don't know, not really. I mean, we already had this comparison with James Toney and Randy Couture, where James Toney chose to fight Randy Couture at his game and trying to wrestle and all that stuff. It got choked out pretty quick. But I seen James Toney see the opportunity to catch Randy Couture with the punch, which would probably flatten him easy. But he chose to fight Randy Couture's way, and he lost. Conor McGregor's choosing to fight Floyd Mayweather's way, boxing, and he's most likely going to lose horribly.
All right, how about this one? There is a running narrative by some that Floyd is the greatest fighter of all time, or at least, not just currently the best pound-for-pound fighter.
I can't say that.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. You've been around this thing. You've been a champ. You've also fought against him. And there's a lot of all-time greats. Remember, like, one of the things Floyd has cleverly done, he waited Pacquiao out a couple years to where Pacquiao was not the Pacquiao of old. Now he's fighting this fight, right? Yeah. Not going to see him fight. He's not fighting Triple G. That fight ain't
never
happen.
happened.
That's never going to happen. He did beat Canelo, and Canelo was just too slow for him.
Too young.
So what's your sense of Mayweather and how boxers view him in terms of one of the all-time greats?
I view it like this. Each fighter has their era. Sugar Leonard, Tom Hearns, Roberto Duran, they had their era. Muhammad Ali, Ken Norton and Joe Frazier, they had their era. So each, Sugar Robinson, me and Oscar, we had our era. Oscar and Trinidad. So there's different eras. I think in this era, well, the era that is passing now, his era is leaving, and he was the best in his era. So he ruled the throne of the kingdom in that era. I wouldn't say that he's the best ever. I don't think that there's a best ever in any class or any era, because we just don't know. Styles make fights. You don't know what can happen. I mean, sure, they say Sugar Robinson was the best ever. They say Muhammad Ali was the best ever, but I mean, he lost. Sugar Robinson lost. They came against somebody that were, of equal and better. better, style.